Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm ERod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Very few tales have stood the test of time and have remained as inspirational as the Ballad of Mulan. An epic poem that has been passed down for hundreds of generations. The ballad tells the story of a young Chinese girl who masquerades as a male soldier to spare her sickly father and younger brother from having to serve with the Imperial Army. Mulan's adventures are literally the stuff of legend, as through the ages we find multiple stories from different cultures bearing striking similarities. Some real...
Did you know out of the 3 million people who fought on both sides, 300 were women in drag?
And some fictional.
I am no man.
By all appearances, Mulan's influence has no boundaries.
Hey, Zap.
Leela!
Leela!
So it's you I've been attracted to. Oh God, I've never been so happy to be beaten up by a woman.
With that said, during this review I will not be comparing this movie to the Ballad of Mulan. Why? Because it is not an adaptation of that story. It is a remake of a beloved Disney classic from the 90s. Yes, from the most successful era the animation studio has ever had. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the House of Mouse has been systematically remaking all of these beloved films into live-action inferiorities. And while I have received many requests to bust these movies, I have always declined, as I felt that their only true flaw is that they are not as good as the original. And then came Mulan, a movie that already had a significant strike against it before anyone saw it, as Disney released it on their brand new streaming service Disney Plus, behind a $30 paywall. And just to clarify, that's $30 on top of your monthly subscription fee. Well, if you have to pay extra, then it must surely be good, right? Well, the fact that I have received over 200 requests to bust this movie says otherwise. So, let's see what all the nerd rage is all about as we delve into Disney's remake of Disney's Mulan. So our movie begins with a young Mulan heavily involved in Shenanigans! Wait, did you see that? Holy shirt balls, there's an editing mistake in a Disney movie. This is one of the most powerful studios in the world. In 2019, they made over $8 billion at the box office alone. And there's an editing mistake on the movie they put behind a $30 paywall. To quote Ron Simmons, damn. So after her defiance of the loss of cinematic continuity, Mulan's parents voiced their disapproval.
I ask you, what man will want to marry a girl who flits around rooftops?
I beg to differ. And thus, we cut to 10 years later, where we find China under the threat of a shape-shifting witch. Okay. And the Roaring Army, which is being led by Jason Scott Lee. I guess you either die a Mowgli or live long enough to become a villain. And thus, with the impending threat of the Falcon, the Witch, and the Little Britches, Emperor Jet Li has no choice but to... Hold on. Jet Li? Really? Wow. The Emperor has no choice but to declare war. So every family in China must volunteer their eldest able-bodied man to populate the Emperor's army. Cut to Mulan! We find our eponymous hero being prepared for the hilarious matchmaker scene from the animated movie. You know the one, where Mulan is trying to hide Cricky, her lucky cricket, and hijinks ensue. She hides Cricky in her mouth, she gets ink everywhere, the matchmaker paints a handsome goatee on her face. It's the best. Alright, here we go. Enter Cricky.
When a wife serves her husband, she must be...
Spider? Oh, right. Okay, whatever. Let's see the realistic version of this scene. Okay. 2 questions. Was that spider radioactive, and did it bite Mulan? Suffice it to say, Mulan doesn't get matched with a handsome man in spite of being able to do everything a spider can. And before you can say dishonor to us all, things go from bad to worse, as the Emperor's magistrate shows up to make recruitments for the upcoming war, and Hoon Lee... That's Master Splinter! Haha! Totally radical!
Nexo Mundo!
Yeah!
Acapella!
What?
Huh? Perestroika? Oh. Okay, I got it. Frere Jacques. Frere Jacques.
Donnie, just give it up.
Oh.
Okay, we all know how this part goes. Mulan's father volunteers, but he's too injured from the previous war. So he will most certainly die in this one. And thus, we get to the part of the story that remains the same through all retellings. In order to save her father's life, Mulan steals his sword and armor, disguises herself as a man, and volunteers in her father's stead. Now, cue that tear-jerking Lea Salonga power ballad. No songs. Alright, well, at least we still get Mushu. Lea Salonga power ballad. No songs. Alright, well, at least we still... Yes, this is better than a catchy song or a wisecracking animal sidekick. That original Disney animated classic can take its 10 Annie Awards, turn them sideways, and shove them right up its Asgard! While in the animated version, Mulan picks a fight when she arrives at the camp due to Mushu's bad advice, in the live-action version, she does so because she thinks all men are toxic tool bags? Now, this wouldn't be as bad if Mulan wasn't a character that was crusading to break gender norms, so yeah. Awkward. Oh man, what this scene could really use is a distraction, like an award-winning, beloved actor showing up out of nowhere to break up the fight.
Lower your sword.
What?
Donnie Yen? Okay, Jason Scott Lee, Jet Li, Hoon Lee, and Donnie Yen? Say whatever you want about this movie, but the cast is amazing. But I'm still gonna continue riffing on it like a big doucheroni. Sweaty and grimy from their journey to the camp, the new recruits are ordered to hit the showers. Mulan quickly volunteers for guard duty to avoid exposing her
Boobs!
Whoa, 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 whoa! There might be kids watching. Use more sensitive words like...
Balloons.
There you go.
We're going to make men out of every single one of you.
Is he queuing up the song?
We're going to make men out of every single one of you.
Should have known better. Oh my god, this montage is duller than dishwater. Where's Jackie Chan when you need him?
有流年，我会改变你的前途，要成为男子汉，不认输。
Yes, Jackie Chan sang the Chinese version of I'll Make a Man Out of You. And yes, it's just as awesome as it sounds. And thus, our intrepid crew continues to train, failing in some areas while succeeding in others. Mulan, for example, may not have a lot of upper body strength, but possesses the martial art prowess of... You know, when I asked if Mulan had been bitten by a radioactive spider, that was a joke!
You need to cultivate your gift.
Sir.
Your chi is powerful, Huajun.
What? Her chi gives her superpowers? What is this, Iron Fist?
I was adopted by a group of monks. There, I learned how to summon my chi. I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
First of all, wasn't this movie supposed to be realistic? Look, in spite of what Western media might lead you to believe, chi is not a superpower. It's a Chinese philosophy dealing with the channeling of one's life force while performing everyday activities. Not impossible superhuman gravity-defying martial arts moves. And, just in case you didn't hear me the first time, isn't this movie supposed to be realistic? So, the characters suddenly breaking into song and talking animal sidekicks too far-fetched. But Mulan being able to fight like Trinity from The Matrix is okay?
Okay, I don't know how much of this I can take. This sounds insane.
So remember how in the original movie, the regiment that Mulan is a part of is nowhere ready to be deployed to any critical portions of the battle? So Mushu falsifies their orders so they will be sent to the front lines? Yeah, that's not what happens here. The commander finds out that Mulan has chi powers, then muses about deploying to the front lines, and the emperor is all like,
I'll allow it.
so our band of brothers and one sister head out to do manly battle, only to, you guessed it, get overwhelmed by superior forces, as the enemy uses a catapult to pin down our boy. Meanwhile, Mulan peels off on her own solo mission to catch evil Mowgli, only to find herself face to face with the witch. So we're about to see Mulan do battle with a shape-shifting enchantress. Alright, well, Mulan at least has chi powers, apparently, which she can use to counteract the witch's... The attack cuts open Mulan's armor, only to shockingly reveal her... boobs! Stop it. So the witch knows that Mulan is a woman now. But, and I'm gonna regret asking this, why are Mulan's chi powers suddenly not working?
Your deceit weakens you.
Say what now?
It poisons your chi.
So lying is her kryptonite? Even though she fought just fine back at camp while she was still pretending to be a man.
What? What is happening?
So what you're saying is that if she were to shed her disguise and fight as a woman, she could potentially be powerful enough to defeat the entire opposing army on her own. Nah, that would be ridiculous. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to describe this to you, so just bear with me. So somehow, some way, Mulan sneaks around the enemy forces without them taking notice, then starts firing arrows at them. But instead of sending a small contingent to take out the sniper, they turn their catapult away from the Imperial army and towards their unseen assailant. They fire said catapult and miss by a literal mile, hitting the snow-covered mountain behind them, causing an avalanche and taking themselves out. But you know what's truly shocking about this sequence? Somehow, some way, it's more cartoony than the freaking cartoon! In the animated movie, every moment in this battle has clear motivations and the logic, not to mention that Mulan has no need of ultra-convenient chi powers to save the day. She does so with nothing but brains and courage. And do I even need to point out that revealing her true identity in order to access her powers is moronic? The fact that this key moment in the story is more logical in the animated version is insane! Who wrote this? Cue the monkey. Sadly, the only part of this that is realistic is that Mulan is dishonorably discharged the moment her commanding officer sees that she is a woman. The only reason they don't execute her is because, you know, she single-handedly won the war. You know, no big. So the war is over and Mulan goes home. The end. Joke. It's not really over. The next dumb part will pop up in about 5, 4, 3, 2. So Witchy Poo tells Mulan that it ain't over yet, as evil Mowgli escaped and is going to attack Emperor Jet Li directly in the Imperial City. Okay, this is the second time that Maleficent over here has given Mulan valuable information, like she's an NPC in a video game. So either she's not a bad guy at all, or she's just as pretentious as Lex Luthor.
Let me make it easy for you. Ask me what I'm up to.
In spite of the threat of execution, Mulan rides back to the Imperial camp to warn her fellow soldiers about the impending attack. If you've seen the animated movie, you know what's coming up next. The very inspirational scene in which Mulan's fellow soldiers agree to fight at her side in spite of her being a woman. Now, I know this might shock you, but guess what? This scene is not as good in this version. So, instead, I'm gonna show you how I think this scene should have gone. We're not listening to you, Mulan, because you lied, and lying is bad. It's so bad, we wrote it on your sword. Sir, just a quick reminder, we are still not ready to fight the Roaring Army. In fact, last time we fought them, we were totally getting our asses kicked until Mulan saved us with her godlike powers. Right. Mulan, buddy, homie, dude, what time do you want to head out? So our heroes show up to save the day, only to find the Imperial City a little too quiet.
It was a an ambush.
Yup, our heroes are too late. Evil Mowgli has already kidnapped the Emperor and is ready to execute him and claim the throne. But first, obviously he has to kill the only person who actually poses a threat to his evil plans. Did I miss the scene where these two became friends? Or who cares? Let's keep going. So Evil Mowgli agrees to a duel with Mulan, cause why not? Yup, you totally beat her now. She stopped your entire army with 3 arrows and you totally beat her by kicking her sword into the molten steel. There's absolutely nothing she can do to stop you now. What a twist. You know, at this point, there is absolutely nothing that can redeem this movie.
Your Imperial Highness, Hua Mulan.
Yup, that's Ming-Na Wen, the original voice of Mulan doing a cameo. They literally send in the cavalry to save this movie. But it's too little, too late. So the day is saved, and Mulan goes back to her village, where she is honored as a hero, much to the matchmaker's chagrin.
She has saved the dynasty. The entire kingdom is in her debt.
A dishonorable discharge of diluted desperation. Did Disney purposely make this movie bad? It's like they took everything that worked about the original movie and did the complete opposite. Mulan's spirited and mischievous personality, gone. Any legitimate chemistry with her companions, gone. Any humor or levity, gone. And probably the most important ingredient, Mulan's humanity. Now I know I riffed on this before, but it's worth repeating. Why? In the furious flaming fudge farts did they give her superpowers? What makes this story so enduring and inspirational is that an ordinary woman does the extraordinary to save her family, armed only with her wit, ingenuity, and courage. It's her ability to think outside the box that helps her persevere, not her ability to tap into the light side of the Force. Disney literally removed the keystone that holds this story together, and without it, the whole structure collapses. And while I can respect them omitting the animal sidekicks to be more realistic and more faithful to the source material, holy fudge farts on a Monday, was I missing Mushu and Cricky during this movie. Because for a movie about a war and women with supernatural abilities, it is ridiculously dull. In fact, I would even venture to say that it is so dull that, oh no you don't, I've done this over 300 times. I know exactly what's gonna happen. Some magical whatchamahoots that's gonna come out of the screen, and we're gonna have an epic brawl right before the credits roll.
Oh, pretty high, man.
Mushu?
Indestructible Mushu!
Oh man, was this movie missing you?
I'm making waffles.
Dragon, not lizard. I don't do that tongue thing.
I should have known.
Here I go. Good night. All right, that's it. Dishonor.
Finish him.
ERod wins. Flawless victory.